My name's Kevin Price. I'm Deputy Director of Music at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, and it's great to see you at this How to Apply session. The aim of the session is to share advice on making your conservatoire application feel really natural and enjoyable. So first of all, I'm going to go quite slowly and just start by thinking about the actual application process. And the first thing to think about is the submission date. You'll need to submit your application through UCAS Conservatoires by Monday, the 3rd of October, 2022. The process involves writing a personal statement. And for conservatoire applications, what we're looking for is a sense of your musical journey, where you've come from as a musician, what you're doing now, and where you'd like to be in the future. So we're really interested in your wildest dreams and aspirations and hopes. So don't hold back about letting us know what your kind of, ultimate career path would be. And don't be afraid of sharing that dream with us. Bear in mind that your personal statement does get read by members of staff and looked at. And later on, after the selection process, if you're selected for a live interview and audition, we will be remembering the content of that personal statement, and it always really helps us to get a sense of who you are. So really do share as much information as you can with us about your journey and where you'd like to go in the future. Once you've submitted your application, the next stage is, of course, to submit a recorded audition or portfolio. So if you're an instrumentalist or a singer, you'll submit an audition. And if you're a composer, you'll submit a portfolio. So first, let's think about the process of sending us a recorded audition or a portfolio. And then I'll cover some tips on how to make your recording. So at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, we use Accepted as our portal for you to upload your audition recordings, portfolios, and documents. And that link for Accepted will be going into the chat box now. If you already have an account, you can, of course, log in straight away, or you can create a free account. To start your Accepted profile, you select the relevant course and program. Please make sure that you input your name and your UCAS ID in exactly the same format as your UCAS Conservatoires application so that they match up. And then you fill in the application information. So the supplementary material section will ask you how you'd like to submit your recording or your portfolio if you're a composer. So you attach the relevant file and you upload it directly or provide a URL from YouTube or a similar platform. You can submit your performances in one recording or in separate recordings if you need to. You need to upload your audition recording or portfolio onto the Accepted portal by Friday, the 21st of October, 2022. Let's go for some audition guidance now and think about how to prepare and record your audition. First of all, take some time to read over the audition guide and the specific repertoire requirements for the instrument or discipline you're applying for. The guides can be found at www.rwcmd.ac.uk/auditions. Our advice is to select repertoire that you're really comfortable with. It's very important to offer two pieces that contrast in style and that are of at least grade 8 standard. So you don't necessarily have to choose pieces that are technically demanding or uncomfortable. And it's good to select repertoire that you can perform comfortably and what shows your musicality. Remember, we're looking for learning and expressive people. So do choose repertoire that you feel good about. Your audition video will be reviewed by the relevant head of department, and then we'll draw up a short list of candidates. Those shortlisted candidates will be invited to attend a further audition, either online or in person. Composers who are shortlisted will be called for an interview online. If you're invited to attend a further live audition, we'll send you confirmation of the next steps via email and Accepted. So let's think about that second audition. The second audition of people who have been shortlisted is about us finding out who you are and where you want to go. And it isn't about catching you out. It's not an exam. So please remember that the process of the second audition potentially represents the first moment of your college course. And the panel views the audition as part of the learning process, as an opportunity to provide you with constructive feedback and advice. So there's nothing in many ways to worry about. It's about actually coming and having that first chance to work with us, show us who you are as a musician, and for us to be able to begin that process of supporting and nurturing you. You'll have an opportunity in that second interview, if you're selected, to talk about your future ambitions and to ask questions relating to the college and the course. So it's good to mentally refer to that moment when you're writing that personal statement at the outset and think, okay, what do I want the panel to be have in their heads when they're hearing me for that second round if I'm selected. And remember, we're looking for learning people who respond to advice and who welcome constructive criticism. So in that interview or audition moment, you may well find that we ask you to try out a few different ideas just to see how you are in that kind of situation. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong. It just means we're interested in the kind of thinker that you are. Now, let's think about some practical advice about recording your audition if you're a performing musician. Let's think for about the fact that you need to submit your recorded audition through Accepted, and the deadline for that would be Friday, the 21st of October, 2022. Your recorded audition should be an audio-visual file, video file, and it should begin with a brief verbal account of your experience and your aims for the future. Nothing too complicated, just something to give us a sense of who you are. Excuse me. You should also include a short verbal introduction of each piece in your recording. Excuse me while I just have another glass of water, drink of water. So the recording that you make should show you performing clearly. It's a really good idea to dress in a way that reflects your professionalism and dedication. So think about wearing clothes that you're comfortable in, but also feel smart and make it feel like a special occasion. And it sounds like a weird thing to say, but if you wear new clothes or shoes, it can often feel a bit unusual or uncomfortable and make you feel uncertain. So wear things that you're familiar with as a performer. Just be sure that your recording device is placed on a tripod or a flat surface, and make sure you're visible for the duration of the entire performance. And it's totally fine to use a mobile phone. You don't need to go out and buy expensive equipment. And make sure that if you do use when you do use your phone or your recording device, record horizontally in landscape mode. So your musical performance needs to be one continuous shot with no edits or cuts. But of course, in your verbal introduction, edits are accepted, and for the closing dialogue as well. But for the performance elements of your submission, they need to be done in one take. Now, a few technical tips. When you position your recording device, make sure that the light is directed from the front or the sides. For example, if you're sitting with a window behind you, you'll just disappear and the video will be dark and fuzzy. It's important that we see your performance as well as hearing it. So make sure that all of the elements of posture and technique are clearly visible for us to have a look at. Before you press the record button, make sure you've got sufficient memory and battery life. Some of the things I know sound really, really obvious, but they're the things that are the easiest to forget. Make sure there's no distortion to the sound, of course, during the loudest passages, and maintain a consistent distance from the device throughout your performance. So in order to make sure of all of those things, do a mock recording and review the audio and make sure that you're wearing your audition clothes so that when you do the mock recording and have a look at it, you can see and hear and judge yourself before you do that submission to make sure that you've got used to the feeling and you're happy with the overall impact. And remember, you can just keep doing this until you're really happy with the result. So place the recording device near your instrument, not too near, just a few distances out to find out what works best for you. Maybe start at 5 or 6 feet away and adjust it from there. It's obviously going to differ depending on location and the recording device that you're using. The space is very important. Remember to record in a space where you can minimize background noise, and think about the time of day and location where you can exert the most control over what's happening in the room, so that you can avoid the bin lorry going by in the background or the cat walking across the room. The softer your surroundings, the better. So remember that sound bounces off hard surfaces, and that can, of course, make unwanted echo or resonance or hardness in the sound. So think about getting that mix of surroundings and furnishings, and avoid large empty rooms, and use blankets, pillows, or whatever to absorb sound, and just get the kind of quality that you're comfortable and happy with before you submit. So let's imagine now that you've submitted that first audition video or portfolio, and you've been shortlisted for the second round, a second audition with a head of department and associated RWCMD colleague. If you decide that you're going to come to that second audition and do it online, please make sure you bring the repertoire performed in your recorded submission, so you have your instrument available and you're in a space that enables you to respond to any questions from the panel. Keyboard applicants who opt to do the second audition online are able to use an electronic keyboard. At the end of the audition, we'll have a chat with you. We want you to discover what you know rather than what you don't know. So we'll ask questions to help you relax and discover what you like as a person and a musician. Try to be open, to smile, and take as much time as you need to answer questions thoughtfully. Prepare your own questions too. Remember, the panel want to see your enthusiasm to gain an understanding of your aims and your long-term goals. So remember, for that second round, for that second audition, you will also have the option to apply to come and do that audition live. So the option to have that second round online or live at the college is available as a choice for you to make if you're shortlisted. So hopefully that sums up the process for you and gives you a sense of the timeline. We're really looking forward to receiving your applications and hearing you play or perform, or seeing your portfolio if you're a composer. And remember that the application audition is the first moment of being part of our community. So we'll do everything we can to make it enjoyable and valuable learning experience for you. But we are going to open up just for a chance for you to ask some questions. And we're going to look at the chat, and I'm going to ask my colleagues just to let me know if there's anything that's come through in the chat, and to share those questions with me so that I can give you some brief answers. So Louise, over to you. Do we have anything? I can't actually see the chat on my screen at the moment.
We do have a few questions. We've got a question from Arthur, who says, does all three pieces need to be in one recording?
No, that's fine. You can do each individual piece in a separate recording as long as each individual piece is done in one take. That's a good question. Thank you.
Megan has asked if they need to have live accompaniment, or can it be recorded?
It can be live or recorded. That's another excellent question. And actually, if you find that neither is possible, you could submit an unaccompanied audition. Just drop us a line if that is a problem. But of course, it's best if it is accompanied, but live or recorded is absolutely acceptable.
And Theodore was asking if there is a fee for auditions. There is an assessment fee for applications for Beamers. It's £63.
Lovely. Thank you, Louise. Do we have any more questions in that chat? As a student at Junior Conservatoire, am I entitled to a free audition?
Yes, I believe so. If you contact your administrator at Junior Conservatoire, they'd be able to inform you on how to do that.
Good. And there's another one here. For composition submissions, can the notation be in the form of a lead sheet or tabs if it suits the style? The answer to that is yes, it can, but actually it's much better to give us a full score whenever possible, so we can see your grasp of instrumentation and texture, etc. So I would say if you can avoid a lead sheet or tabs, it would be better, and we can have if we can have a fully notated score. I think the reason for that is to give us the real chance to see as much as of your craft and your artistry as possible. When are you likely to be shortlisted by? Well, Louise, maybe you could help me with this, but my instinct is to say we'll do that as soon as possible. What do you think a realistic timeline would be, Louise?
We're expecting it to be shortlists to be completed within 2 weeks of submission.
Excellent. I love the way that I've started to ask the questions and you're giving the answers. I'm enjoying this. Are there any big differences between undergrad and postgrad auditions? I'm applying for postgrad. Not massive, but I would say do have a close look, because if you're going for something like postgraduate orchestral performance, you'll have to submit some excerpts as part of the audition. So look at the repertoire carefully, but the basic format is pretty compatible, isn't it, Louise? Would you like us to bring the repertoire from the first audition if you're shortlisted for a second audition in person? Yeah, don't worry. You don't need to do, I mean, that's an excellent question. And actually, we will build that into our instructions for next year to make it really clear that we're not looking for two separate pieces, sets of repertoire for each round of the audition. So yeah, very much bring the first lot of repertoire that you used so that we can hear you. That's excellent. Okay, lots of questions coming out. I'll try and keep up with these. If I apply for 2 different courses, would that be through 2 different audition processes? Well,
depends on the discipline.
Exactly.
If you're applying for 2 different courses, for example, like Emma's music performance and MA advanced opera performance, you would only need to apply for the MA advanced opera performance and follow the repertoire requirements for that course in order to be considered for the Emma's music performance as well. If you were applying for 2 different specialisms, so if you wanted to apply for woodwind, clarinet and voice, then it would be 2 different audition processes, yes.
Lovely, thank you, Louise. Right. Can I audition with contrasting pieces that are contrasting but not before 1899? Yes, you can. We're not being prescriptive about that, and as long as you have pieces that contrast, I would say when you're thinking about contrast, go for something that shows your technique and your prowess as a performer, and then go for something that shows your musicianship and your ability to express yourself. So I would say something that's pretty technically demanding within your capability, and something that's lyrical as well. Does that feel okay to you, Louise, as an answer? Excellent. Is software notation audio acceptable, or does it have to be live? I think that, is this for composers, I'm imagining, Max? I would say that software notation audio is probably acceptable. But Louise, you have more experience for the composition portfolios than I, so I'll just bring you in here. Is that okay?
I do believe that it is acceptable. The guidance is fairly prescriptive. Our head of composition has been very prescriptive, but is also hosting a separate session. And I would absolutely recommend that you ask for portfolio recommendations directly for John Maddy, who's hosting that session.
Thanks, Louise. That's a great help. And then a very good question here. Are performance auditions expected to be played from memory or read from a score? Either is fine. There's absolutely no pressure on you to perform from memory. And if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine, but you will not be judged if you decide to use a score. That's another excellent question. Thank you. So from what I can see, I think we may have got to the bottom of all our questions, unless I've missed anything. And I hope that it's been helpful. Please do remember that if you come away and think, oh gosh, I've got these questions that I forgot to ask or didn't feel comfortable asking, if you just drop our admissions team an email, we will get back to you. It won't be today, but we'll do it as soon as we can. But I think that just about wraps it up. And I'd just like to say thank you for being with us, for putting up with my bad voice. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, and get well soon. That's very kind. And it's a pleasure to meet you all virtually, and look forward to seeing your submissions for auditions and hopefully meeting you soon.